All right, yeah, so I don't know your overall take on the deal. I know when we heard sort of the allegations, it was kind of shocking. And I wouldn't have had a problem if they stripped them of their championship, frankly. But they still came down pretty hard on them. No players named. What's your overall take?
Yeah, I don't know about the taking with the championship. It's just because then it gets into college football territory where we all have to pretend that we never saw Reggie Bush play for USC and all that stuff. I don't know if I should do that, but I do think it was very telling, as I kind of wrote in the Washington Post piece, how there were not actually any players named. And Rob Manfred mentioned in the piece, he had kind of a practical reason for it, which is, and on one hand, I get it, the idea that it would be very difficult to, if you suspend the entire 2017 Astros team for a month or so, they don't have a 2020 Astros team. Now, we might argue maybe that should be the case, but certainly make it hard to put a schedule together. I would put it that way. So I think that what I kind of wrote about in the piece was I thought it was telling. I think one of the main reasons he didn't mention any players was because, as we all know, there's a major labor fight brewing after next season, and I think it was just November where he had to make a statement about a story that leaked to NBC about how he was going to give no economic concessions, and it seems like a big fight is coming. I do think one of the reasons he didn't mention any players specifically, other than Carlos Beltran, who is not actually a member of the union anymore, is because he doesn't want to fight with the union. I think he doesn't want to fight with the union right now. He doesn't want to mess with all that. This is a complicated enough thing, and the labor fight is a complicated enough thing that I feel like that's one of the main reasons the players weren't punished. He just doesn't want another fight with the union so close to what could be a pretty apocalyptic sort of a CBA discussion.
Wow, it's an interesting theory, and it makes all the sense in the world. Why do we think this is going to be such a monumental negotiation? I mean, everyone's kind of taking their sides, and is there going to be a work stoppage if you had to bet?
I mean, it's a little early to say that, but certainly if you were to put together the conditions where there might be a work stoppage, you'd be in that kind of situation right now. Remember, it was just last year after the long free agent kind of fight, and we were all waiting for Harper and Machado to sign and everything, and really kind of any free agency to happen. There were players. I remember Adam Wainwright from the Cardinals actively said, "Oh yeah, there's going to be a strike next year," and I just hope they don't walk out mid-season. Now he kind of walked that back a little bit, but I think it kind of spoke to the heightened. Everyone's really kind of lined up in their corners now. There are stories of players putting money away a little bit. There are stories of owners saying that they're willing to lose some time to try to make sure they hang on to the current economic conditions. You've seen the fights with the minor leagues. There's a lot of battles going on right now. This is not specific to baseball, by the way. I think the NBA's got this coming up. The NFL has obviously had lots of issues. It's a time where the union and management, really kind of in all fields, but definitely in sports, are really kind of gearing up for big fights. And so I think in November because basically in out this was going to make zero economic concessions, and that really kind of lit a fire under a lot of people. I think he's tried to calm the temperature down a little bit because I think there's no upside to have people already at each other's throats. And I think that's another one of the reasons that, again, I think it's telling that of all the people involved in the scheme for the Astros, the only one mentioned by name is someone that is no longer a member of the players union, Carlos Beltran. I think that is very telling, and I think that's by design.
Well, like kind of you said, it would wipe out an entire team. And I just feel like it's probably Pandora's box, the way that they're talking about it, that sure, the Astros have been caught. Now you got the Red Sox involved. And you would have players throughout the league and selling signs in fashion.
I think it's telling. I mean, it's funny. People have been stealing signs as long as there has been baseball. I mean, clearly, this is something that is not new to baseball. I think on one hand, the technology's gotten a lot better, and I think that's what they're worried about. On the other hand, the end game of this was hitting a trash can with a bat, which is not exactly high tech. So I do feel like it's so kind of pervasive in baseball. I mean, for crying out loud, throughout years and years and years, this has been a big thing. I think what was frustrating, I think the Manfred why it came down so hard here, they literally just like about a year and a half ago put out a whole new set of guidelines about cheating and stealing signs and using technology. They made a whole big conversation about this, and still the Astros, and it looks like the Red Sox, so that hasn't been confirmed yet, have continued to do it. And to be fair, if you think it was just the Astros and the Red Sox doing this, I think I find it telling the Dodgers are like, well, we would love to comment on all of this, but we can't. I think any team that gets too kind of highfalutin about those bad Astros and those bad Red Sox should maybe be a little careful because stealing signs, whether you use technology or not, it's really been part of baseball really since the beginning.
Joined by Will Leitch. He's got a column in the Washington Post on the Astros cheating scandal. I know who's not upset with what's happening in Houston of late. Our old pal here in D.C., Dusty Baker, is one of them. Buck Showalter, I'm sure, is okay with it because there's some jobs opening up. Bruce Bochy recently retired. Where do we see some of these guys who've been out of the game for a while or recently out of the game? Where do we see them winding up?
Yeah, I find it interesting, too. Another aspect of this is a lot of old school all very much hated the Astros. The Astros really have kind of come in with this idea that we've got this all figured out, and you old school guys don't know anything, and we're the tech, and we're the new guys. And I think I think people are no one's shedding any tears for the Astros, and I think you see that with a lot of those old time managers, which is kind of funny because Buck Showalter, the report came out today, is interviewing with the Astros for a potential job there. I find it amusing. That would be a very interesting clash between old school and new school. But you wonder, listen, the Astros really were the model for a lot of teams in baseball. That's why there's so many teams around baseball that have former Astros employees that are just kind of like, not us. We had nothing to do with that. The Orioles are having this. The Cardinals hitting coach was the hitting coach for the Astros back then. The Astros were so influential that there are Astros people involved with that 2017 team throughout baseball. Now, I wonder if that'll change a little bit because now they kind of have a little scarlet letter on them. And in the transitive property, there's a lot of that whole new tech idea and the whole new analytics and the whole kind of cold efficiency that the Astros really have dominated the market on. You wonder if that starts to fall back a little bit too, and you get more of those old school baseball guys like a Dusty Baker, like a Buck Showalter, people listening to them a little bit more after the last 4 or 5 years of people all telling them that they were dinosaurs.